Welcome to Twisted Tales Live. Hello. It's not showing. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. So we'll just have to pass. Hello, night dwellers. Hello over there in YouTube land. Hello, Mary. Hello, Jessica. Hey, Tammy Weber. Hello, Kingfisher. Why, thank you. Hey, Palm. Hey, Julie. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Boss Man. Come on in. Good evening, all. Moms, if you could please, night watchers, if you could please post the stories in the comments, that would be extremely helpful for me. It's either the creepy eyes or the titles, and I prefer the creepy eyes. Hey Shirley, hey Martha. Hey Pamela. Hey Firefly. Hello. Hey Angie. Hey XJ. Thank you, X. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the twisted trinkets. Hello, Judy. How are you? Hello, Auntie BP. Hello, Melanie. Hey there. Thank you. Everybody, let's start sharing this live and getting it out to anyone that we can think of that likes a scary story. Tonight is one of the most popular nights on Twisted Tales Live. Why? Because it's true crime, serial, and aliveness, of course. Let's share, please. Hello. You know, I got to thinking about that, and there was always one person who said, no other color is going to do this but green. And so I got to thinking about that while I was going about my day. And I'm like, Bryn, go back to green. Green is where it is. So here we are. Hello, legend. Hello, Danis. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, all night dwellers. Come on in. We'll get started here in about 5 minutes. Hello, Tara. Hello, Melinda. Thank you for sharing the live. Share it with neighbors, co-workers, aunties, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, mom, dad, brother, sister, friends, Whoever you can think of that likes scary stories, let them know Twisted Tales Live, Surreal Unalive, True Crime is about to take off. I am leaving this color exactly the way it is. This is it. Hello, Tigger. Hey, Magic Moon. It's gonna be a tough one tonight, though. This true crime case. Never heard of it. Have you heard of this one? This is gonna be another one of those toughies, so prepare your tissues. Yes, I am, Irina. Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Let's see who we've got over here in YouTube. Hello, Mia. Y'all had fun over there. Hello, hello. Hello, Marine's daughter. If you are just coming in, my name is Bryn Morgan. I am a horror author. I am also a teller of every scary story you can imagine. True crime, serial unalivers, paranormal, ghosts, aliens, urban legend, Appalachian horror. Any of that suits you? Then stay tuned. Tonight is True Crime Case Holly Bobo and Serial Unaliver Joseph Carringer. Both of these are going to be chilling. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. First live goal is set. Over here, Twisted Trinkets. Over here is the Bewitched Boutique. You can go in there and do as the moon calls you. Whether it is a small gift or a grand gesture, it is greatly appreciated and is going toward keeping this live alive. Thank you. All right, we are getting ready to tone it on down. Can you hear the music? I need to know both in YouTube and TikTok. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Colleen. Why, thank you, man. Welcome to the live. Do you think this music will go with true crime? I think so. I see you over there, Jester. Behave. Is it good now? Hello, Sherry. Tonight, I have to say that while I was doing research for this particular true crime story, and I believe that it was our court jester who recommended Joseph Callinger, both of them gave me cold chills. These stories are not for the faint of heart. But first, let's prepare. Lower your legs. Lock your doors. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to enter your room. And let's begin. The first thing that I'm going to do is set the scene. The first thing I'm going to do is show you a picture of a beautiful young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. And in just the blink of an eye, it was ripped cruelly away. This is Holly Bobo. Beautiful. About to start nursing school. Kind. Considerate. Will give you the shirt off her back. Holly Bobo. Lovely. Some said she was the most friendliest person they'd ever met. Never met a stranger. Keep that in mind for the rest of the story. April the 13th, 2011, 7:30 a.m., Darden, Tennessee. Set a small country rural town in your mind. A town where nothing happens that is bad. People move there for peace, for quiet. Picturesque. Beautiful. The sun hadn't fully broken through the veil of trees yet. A cool mist hung low over the Bobo family's rural property, and dew clung to the grass like crystal tears. The stillness of the morning was misleading. It would become the last moment of peace that the Bobo family would ever know. Holly Lynn Bobo, a 20-year-old nursing student, had already been awake for quite some time. Holly was an early riser. She took her shower, ate her breakfast. She was always up early, a go-getter. She was disciplined and bright-eyed, often humming softly as she packed her lunch and prepared for class. Her family said that Holly loved pastel colors: pink, light green, butter yellow. She loved gospel music, and she always wore a silver cross necklace that had once belonged to her grandmother. Holly, as you can tell from the picture, had a delicate smile that made people feel safe just being around her. On this particular morning, Holly was dressed in pink nurse's scrubs. She stood in the kitchen making herself lunch. Simple: peanut butter, crackers, and a juice box. The kind of simple thing that she liked to eat between nursing classes at the University of Tennessee. Her mother, Karen Bobo, was already at work at the elementary school as a teacher. She was just minutes away, but she was on the phone with Holly. It was their thing. They would talk to each other first thing in the morning. Karen would ask her, "Are you nervous about the test?" "No, not really. I mean, I'm just going to sit down there and apply myself. I studied, so I should pass." They often talked while Holly got ready. Their conversation was easy, mundane even. Mainly just the same questions every morning. "Are you going out this weekend with Drew?" "Yeah, you talked about us going up maybe to Stone Mountain." "Well, that'll be a nice trip." Yeah, it was mundane until it wasn't. Kelly hung up with Holly, fully expecting that Holly would go about her day at the university. She would go about her day teaching. She thought about possibly going out to a steakhouse that night for dinner. She was tired. She knew Dana, her husband, was going to be tired, and Clint, he ate them out of house and home, so the more she thought about it, a steak restaurant looked like the best option for dinner. The line went quiet. Goodbye. No. Just silence. Karen thought that the call had just dropped. It had happened before. I mean, it always happens, especially when you live out in the country. You don't have the best signal, right? Inside the house was Clint Bobo, Holly's 25-year-old brother. He had just gotten out of the shower, and their family dog, appropriately named Bobo, was barking like crazy. Loud, frantic, scratching at the door. "What is it, Bobo? What's bothering you?" Clint moved toward the window, and he was highly annoyed. He was expecting to see a deer in the yard, or maybe a neighbor's dog that was antagonizing Bobo. Instead, he saw Holly, his sister. She was kneeling beside her car. The way that their garage was you would look out the window and the garage was separate from the rest of the house. That's a pretty common thing here in this town. I see it a lot in South Carolina. He noticed, though, that his sister's body looked tense. Her voice was sharp, as if arguing. He noticed a tall man that stood over Holly. He was dressed head to toe in camouflage, which was very typical, again, for that area of Tennessee. Deer hunting, lots of hunters in that area. He noticed that he had a hat pulled on low over his brow. His arm was clutched around Holly's, firm, but it didn't appear to be violent. Not yet. Clint assumed that it was Holly's boyfriend, Drew. Sometimes he wore camo too because he was a hunter when he was in season. He thought nothing of it after that. They were probably playing one of their stupid games that they always seem to play. So, Clint turned away from the window. A minute later, he walked back to the window. He looked toward the garage, and he could see through the windows of the garage to the back of the woods. He could hear voices. He could hear Holly. And at first he mistook it for a laugh, a squeal. Maybe Drew was tickling her or something like that, but he thought that Holly had to be at school. Curious, but not alarmed in the slightest. He stepped outside. He stood and he listened. But he heard nothing. But then he caught a glimpse through the woods. Holly was walking into the woods with a man. Not beside him, as Clint saw, but being led by him. Her body language, he couldn't really ascertain. Her gait seemed clumsy. And then they disappeared into the trees. It was Drew. Drew had came over and he and Holly were going out to the woods. Clint went back in the house and he stood there frozen and confused. Why hadn't she said anything? Why hadn't she waved? He hesitated, replaying what he had seen in his mind. Something felt off. He couldn't quite figure it out, but something seemed off. So a few minutes later, he picked up the phone and he called Karen at school. Karen came to the phone. Clint? Yeah, did Holly have some trouble with her car this morning? No, not that I know of. Was Drew gonna come and pick her up or something? Or maybe she's playing hooky from college. What are you talking about, Clint? Well, I saw her in the garage, and Drew was in there with her. Okay. So why are you calling me? Well, he was leading her off into the woods. The woods. Karen looked down at her watch. Holly had an exam that morning at 9 o'clock. Something wasn't making sense here. Not at all. Was it Drew? I mean, he was wearing camo and he had a hat on. Okay. Something in Karen's blood went ice cold. Something told her that something was very wrong. She called Clint back. Clint, I want you to go out there to that garage. Did you actually go in there? No? Well, I need you to go in there and I need you to tell me what you see. Do you see any sign of her in the woods with Drew? Because his mom said that he's at work. Panic began to fill Karen and Clint. Clint told his mom, hold on a minute, I'm gonna walk out there. When he opened the side door that led to the garage, he froze. Her lunchbox was lying on the ground beside her car. And that wasn't all. There was a blood stain on the side of the car. It looked to be nothing associated with a nosebleed, but someone that had tried to hurt Holly. Clint ran back across the yard. He picked up the phone. Mama, something's wrong. Why? What did you find? Her lunchbox was on the ground by the car, and there's blood on her door. Call 911 right now. Clint's blood turned to ice. He had just watched his sister get led into the woods by a stranger and had done absolutely nothing. By 8 o'clock a.m., the entire county would know the name Holly Bobo. But she was already gone. Chapter 2. The search begins. By 8:30 a.m., the air around the Bobo home had shifted from a peaceful spring morning with so much promise into a waking nightmare. 9/11 dispatchers, initially unclear on the urgency because Clint was stammering and just beside himself, tried to piece together fragmented information. Her brother's call was panicked and it was guilt-laced. He couldn't shake the image of his sister being led into the woods. He replayed it over and over in his head. His voice was trembling as he told authorities, "I thought it was her boyfriend. I didn't know." He said that part many times. By 9 o'clock a.m., the law enforcement team had arrived. 2 patrol cars, quiet engines humming as boots hit the gravel. But what met them wasn't a crime scene, it was confusion. The only blood was on the side of the door. There were no footprints, no sign of a struggle, even though her lunchbox was beside the car. Just Holly's car parked in the usual spot and their lunchbox lying on the ground nearby. They didn't find anything odd about that. Inside the lunchbox were her crackers and juice, still perfectly packed, completely untouched. It was the kind of thing that a mother might pack for a child. That one thing screamed innocence. It screamed routine. It screamed that she didn't leave on her own. Karen arrived minutes later. Her hands were shaking. Her steering wheel was covered in sweat. She sped home from school the moment that Clint told her what he'd seen. She ran from the car to the front steps, her eyes wild, her hands shaking. "Clint, why didn't you go after her? You saw her with that boy." "Mama, I just thought it was her boyfriend." She screamed Holly's name into the woods so loudly that the deputies paused. Nothing answered back that day. Not birds, not wind, not Holly. Search teams were deployed quickly. It was taken seriously. Local police, neighbors, hunting dogs, search and rescue, family, friends. Holly was well known in the area. She taught Sunday school. She volunteered at local events. She wasn't the kind of girl who just vanished. By 11 o'clock a.m., the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation had been called in. And as Dana, Holly's father, and Karen, her mother, stood there and saw them pull up in their yard, they knew it was serious. Forensic units began combing through the woods, through the Bobo's backyard, and what they found unnerved them. As they neared the edges of the woods, there was a significant amount of blood near a tree. Spattered, not pulled, not an accident. Forensic experts would later match it to Holly through DNA analysis. It was a critical turning point. If there was any hope of them getting her back alive, it was dwindling fast. Something had happened right there, just feet from their house. The camo-clad man apparently had not taken Holly quietly, and he had hurt her. He probably had hurt her likely before dragging her into the woods. And no one had heard a scream. That afternoon, helicopters scanned the woods. Volunteers walked arm in arm through fields, calling her name. The local community rallied, printing flyers, tying pink ribbons around trees and mailboxes. Holly's face, beautiful, young, radiant, hopeful, was now on posters in every gas station and every intersection in West Tennessee. The small town of Darden had never seen anything like this. They didn't have crime. But as the sun set over the tree line and the shadows began to creep in, Karen cried and Dana held her. Clint stood beneath the tree in the front yard, feeling like he had messed up. Neighbors, friends, church folk, family, they said, just keep having hope that we're going to find her. We are going to find her. But something darker had begun to seep into the corners of conversation inside the house, in the woods. People whispered, what kind of a monster walks a girl into the woods in daylight? What kind of man can silence someone so completely? Inside the Bobo home, Karen sat at the kitchen table with Holly's lunchbox in front of her. The crackers were still in their little wrappers. Her fingers trembled as she picked them up and pressed them, the little package to her heart. She didn't cry. She didn't want to cry right now. Because if she cried, it made her feel like she had given up. And she hadn't given up. Not yet. The tears would come later. She had already cried in front of her son, her husband. She had to be strong. For now, there was only the terrible, growing uncertainty. Holly wasn't coming home that night. Let me get a sip of water. By the third day of Holly Bobo's disappearance, the woods have begun to feel haunted. Not by ghosts, but by the image of her. By the what ifs. By the imagined footsteps that they heard coming down the steps. Holly would always run down the steps. She never took the steps slow. Clint could still see his sister, her body being pulled into the trees. The soft echo of a scream that no one heard. The blame that was put on Clint. Son, you didn't hear anything? You didn't hear anything? Your sister was taken through the woods and you didn't hear anything? Dana, don't. He's already feeling bad enough as it is. He could have rescued her. The question on every reporter's lips, on every neighbor's tongue, was the same. Who was the man in camouflage that had taken one of their own? Clint Bobo, reeling from the guilt, replayed the moment hundreds of times in his mind. He was questioned by the officers and the detectives over and over and over again. Now, son, if you're not telling us everything, you need to tell us. We need to find your sister. Now, I want you to replay the events of the morning exactly as it happened. I've told you everything I know. Could he have stopped it? Should he have screamed her name? Let me know in the comments what you think. Should he have followed his sister into the woods? At the time, his assumption that the man was Holly's boyfriend seemed logical. They were very familiar in height, in coloring, but Drew was harmless. In rural Tennessee, camouflage was practiced like a second skin. It was just the hunter in that area. Every man wore it just about. Clint had seen Drew Scott, Holly's boyfriend, in camo many times before, so it wasn't strange to him. That did not jump out as odd to him. And that was the most chilling part of it. The man wasn't dragging her, Clint said. He wasn't holding a weapon. He was calmly leading her. And she followed, reluctantly, stiffly, but she followed. I can't help but wonder if that man was whispering, "I'll hurt your whole family if you don't go." It was a walk. It wasn't a chase. Holly wasn't running from him. She was being guided. That detail alone disturbed investigators deeply. Holly wasn't someone who just went with strangers. She was cautious. She kept her car doors locked. Her dad used to always warn her about that. Her family had even talked with her about how to react if she ever felt unsafe. Her dad said There is no way that Holly did not call for help. If she knew Clint was in the house, she would have called him. Not if someone had came from behind her and slammed her head into the door. The question was, why didn't she scream? And why didn't Clint hear it? Why did she go? Unless she was too terrified to run. Unless she had been told someone else would be hurt if she didn't comply. Or worst of all, she had been so stunned by the blow to her head that she couldn't fight. Clint told investigators that her body posture had seemed off. Her shoulders were hunched, her steps were slow, and that the man that was leading her had been controlling. Though not overtly, his arm was around hers, guiding, tight but not yanking. And that's why Clint thought that it was her boyfriend, Drew. Could you see that possibility? Let me know in the comments. A hunter, maybe. A neighbor. Someone who very clearly knew the layout of the land. Maybe someone that she had met once before, just long enough to appear harmless to her, enough that she threw up her hand and said, "Hello." The TBI began cross-checking names. They checked on sex offenders, drug offenders, parolees, even ex-boyfriends. But the trail was ice cold. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread like wildfire. People said that they had seen a white truck speeding away from the woods that morning. Others said that they had heard screams, but assumed that it was nothing, just some teenagers at play. Some claimed to know who had done it, but none of them had any proof in regards to it. In the absence of answers, people started turning on one another. Holly's boyfriend, Drew, was even brought in for questioning. And when I tell you that he was devastated, he was desperate, and he was truthful. His alibi held strong. It was not him. Still, eyes turned to Clint. The internet grew vicious. How could he not do something? He saw his sister being dragged into the woods by a man, a stranger. Some claim that in his jealousy of her, because she was known as being the golden child, the perfect child, going to college, getting a degree, becoming a registered nurse, that he had let her be taken. Others said that he was covering for someone. Karen Bobo stood in front of the news camera with a photo of Holly pressed to her chest and said, "My daughter is still out there. She's alive. And I am begging you to let her go. Please just let her go. Just drop her off somewhere to where she can get to someone to get her home You can go wherever you want to go. Just let her go. But the more days passed, the less people believed that. Then came the turning point, buried in the early tips. A man who lived just a few miles away east said that his brother had came home the morning of Holly's disappearance with scratches on his arms, and his camo was soaked through. He claimed the brother said, I messed up real bad. It wasn't enough for an arrest, but it was enough for a name. His name was Zachary Rye Adams, a name that would darken every corner of this case and eventually reveal the truth behind the man in camouflage. But not yet. Because the worst part, Zach Adams would walk free for years while Holly remained missing. Chapter 4, The Slow Unraveling. The days turned into weeks, the weeks turned into months, and Darden, Tennessee became a place of quiet terror. The sun still rose, the birds still sang, but the entire town felt like it was holding its breath. They just wanted Holly to come home. There were no answers, no arrest, no ransom notes, no body, no phone calls, just a bunch of people calling in that were pranksters. I never have understood that. Why would you play up on that? There was just a void where Holly had once been, her soprano in the choir, her laughter in the medical examination room, her voice in the Sunday school room, her hand in Drew's. They were very serious about one another and were headed toward marriage. The Bobo family clung to each other during this time, but the weight of fear and guilt was so crushing. Karen slept in Holly's room. She refused to sleep in the master bedroom anymore. She curled up on her daughter's floral comforter, clutching her pink pillow and listening to the ticking of the wall clock, as if it might somehow bring her girl home. Clint stopped speaking to most people. The only one that he would really speak to at this point was his mother. His father looked at him with accusing eyes. His eyes were glassy and vacant. He rarely left the house, and when he did, someone was always hollering out their window, "What a brother you are." At night, he would just stand at the edge of the woods and he would stare into the darkness, hoping to see some sort of movement, to hear her voice. He played it over and over and over again in his head, and if he had a chance to do it all over, he would have run to the woods. But there was nothing. It was as if she had vanished off the face of the earth. In town, strangers passed each other with downcast eyes. Have you heard anything about that little girl? Can you believe it? I just cannot believe that someone would do that in broad daylight. And can you believe that her brother stood there and practically watched it happen? I don't know how that boy sleeps at night. It became the most repeated question in grocery store aisles, gas stations, and church pews. The Bobo family stopped going to church. Everyone was talking. Everyone had a theory about what had happened to Holly. Everyone had someone that they suspected. And slowly, attention shifted from outside threats to those within. Why had Clint waited so long to call 911? What is your theory on that? Why hadn't the dog been set loose? Bobo was known for being very family protective. Why wasn't there more blood at the scene? But behind the whispers was a deeper fear. If it could happen to Holly, it could happen to anyone. The TBI was overwhelmed. Over 300 leads poured in during the first month alone, and none of them panned out, not one. They searched barns, ponds, wells. They combed hundreds of miles of wilderness looking for her. They questioned meth dealers, sex offenders, strangers in white trucks, even men that were in prison. Nothing. They all came back with false leads. A woman called in, claimed that she had seen Holly tied up in a barn and that she was screaming for help. The place was raided, and there was nothing there. Another person said they'd seen her in a rest stop in Kentucky. False again. Every rumor felt like a dagger to Karen and Dana's heart. The media descended on the case, as you can imagine, amplifying every twist. To the nth degree, Dr. Phil interviewed the family. Nancy Grace covered the case with urgency. Strangers around the country lit candles and prayed and had candlelight vigils. But inside the Bobo home, grief curdled into something much darker. Karen, who was once the picture of Southern grace and strength, she began to deteriorate. Dark shadows formed under her eyes. Her voice shook during interviews. She forgot how to sleep. Have you ever forgotten how to sleep? Her faith that was once unshakable began to crumble. She admitted later, you just want to die. You just don't want to feel the pain anymore. And Clint, who was burdened by what he'd seen, what he didn't do, he collapsed under the pressure. He completely became a recluse. He would not go outside. He stopped answering calls. And Holly, her face that was once on every billboard, began to fade. The ribbons grew tattered. The posters yellowed. The town, still reeling, began to do the unthinkable. What was that? They began to move on. But somewhere in the dense Tennessee woods, her body still lay hidden. And her killer walked free, confident that in time the memory of what he had did to the church girl would wither like the ribbons in the trees. But he was wrong, because justice, though slow, was coming. And it would begin with a whisper from a person. Nearly 2 years had passed. 2 years of silence, 2 years of watching Holly's face smiling back from aging flyers and dusty posters, Facebook pages, 2 years of nothing. No body, no proof, no peace. Until the whisper came. In early 2014, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation got a call from an informant inside a county jail. The inmate didn't want to give his name right away. He was scared. He said that the people he was about to name were monsters, and if they found out that he talked, he'd end up just like Holly. But he couldn't keep the secret anymore. So sitting in an interrogation room, he said, Zach Adams took that girl. He whispered, I know, because I was there after it happened. The man on the opposite side of the table froze. Zach Adams. That name again. Remember? Zachary Rye Adams, to be exact, a local drug user with a rap sheet longer than most grocery store receipts. A man known for violent outbursts and erratic behavior. A man who lived just miles from the Bobo home and had been on the TBI's radar from the very beginning. But here's the problem. Zach had never been arrested in connection with Holly Bobo. But he was about to be. The informant said that Zach had bragged about keeping a pretty girl tied up in his house, that she'd begged for her life, that she'd screamed until her voice was gone. But this informant said Zach didn't care. And the more she screamed, the more he begged. Scream louder. Scream louder. Scream louder. He had friends, the informant said. Dangerous ones, men who thought hurting women made them powerful. Men who shared stories of what they did like trophies. And Holly Bobo, he claimed, had been the ultimate prize. The TBI moved fast. Within 48 hours, they secured a search warrant of Zach's property. It was a place that was straight out of a nightmare. The Adams house sat at the end of a winding dirt road. It was surrounded by decaying trees and broken fences, and inside was chaos, drug paraphernalia, trash, and grime coated every surface. There were weapons in every room, and there was blood on the floorboards, but no sign of Holly. Still, the agents knew. They felt it in the air. She'd been there. Zach was arrested and charged with aggravated assault and kidnapping. But what they needed now was the body. And the clock was ticking. The story that Zach's associates began to unravel was worse than anyone could have imagined. Jason Autry was a known drug dealer and felon. Admitted he had been there the day of the crime. He said that Zach had called him for help disposing of a body. When Jason arrived, he said that she was in a corner, alive, but barely. She was wrapped in nothing but a blanket. He said that at one point, she thought that they were so focused on their conversation that she started to crawl across the floor. He said she was trying to get out. She was trying to live. But what she didn't understand about Zach, once his mind's made up, you ain't going nowhere. Zach handed Jason a weapon and told him he was done with her. Take her outside and take care of it. Jason claimed that he couldn't do it. Not to a girl that was so young. Not to a girl who looked him in the eyes and begged. So Zach grabbed it from him and did it himself. He walked up behind her and did it execution style. And then, as Jason recounted with shaking hands, they loaded her into a truck and dumped her unalived in the woods near the Tennessee River. That was all that investigators needed. Almost 3 years of endless searching, false leads, and sleepless nights. Authorities believed that they had finally found the truth, but they still hadn't found Holly. Her body was still lost to the trees, to the hills, and without it, there would be no closure. But that was about to change, because a ginseng hunter walking through a remote patch of brush would soon stumble on a skull, and everything would break wide open. Let's stop there. 5-minute intermission, and then I will be right back with the rest of this story. I don't know if we'll have time for Joseph Callinger tonight. I want to give this story its full attention. 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. Everybody's still with me? Hello, hello. Hey, Leslie. Terrible story, isn't it? You like it, Magic Moon? Good, 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 good. Yes, I love this. For sure. We're putting lotion on the skin? Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. Thank you for that lovely galaxy. Hey, Kim. Hey, James Swartz. So, what are your feelings on Clint? What do you think about him? Hello, Kathy Mitchell. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Tammy. Oh, thank you, James. Hello, Diablo One. Glad to have you here. Diablo. Do you like scary stories? That's exactly right, James. Treats this as a queen. That is exactly right. Jazz, thank you for the follow, my dear. John Lassiter, thank you for the follow. John, do you like scary stories? Just, do you like scary stories? So glad that you are enjoying it. Hello, Lord Vader. He does. He did. He did. He honestly did. I read, interviews and everything. He really did think it was his sister's boyfriend because Zach and Drew had almost the exact same build. So I cannot even imagine the guilt that this man must feel. I'm losing my crown. All right, who is ready to continue? I'm beginning to think that I am not supposed to tell the story of Joseph Callinger. This is the third time, 3 times that I have had to overlook that. But when I tell you that story, it is one that you are never going to forget. So he's going to end up back on the Wheel of Fate. And if the Wheel of Fate wants us to tell the Joseph Callinger story, then so be it. All right, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a break for what you are about to hear. But first, do you have popcorn, chocolate, wine, coffee? If you are, have some for me. Let's lower the lights again. Light a candle for a creepy ambiance. Lock those doors. We're not fighting ghosts here. Pull those curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are surely about to run down your spine as I begin the second part of the Holly Lynn Bobo case. It was September the 7th, 2014. The air was thick and still in the Tennessee woods. A humid, pressing kind of silence. The kind that muffles the birds and hangs in your chest like sorrow. A ginseng hunter, just a man looking for roots that grew in the shade, stepped into an overgrown patch of brush off I-40 near the town of Holiday, Tennessee. He was looking for ginseng. He never expected in all of his days that he would find her. What he thought at first was an animal skull. He was absolutely 100% sure of it, but as he got closer and began to look at it, he knew that it was human. Weathered, sun-bleached, with delicate features. Investigators were called in immediately. Cadaver dogs followed, and the deeper they went into the woods, the worse it got. Scattered across the brush were bones, fragmented, withered, gnawed by animals. A piece of a pelvis, a rib, a tooth with a feeling. And near a shallow ditch, tangled in vines, they found it. Pink. A strip of pink cloth. Holly's favorite color, if you remember at the first of the story. The forensic team fell silent. Everyone there knew. 3 years of desperate searching had come to this. An innocent young woman, 20 years old. It was more than they could wrap their heads around. Being dumped in a makeshift grave in the Tennessee wild where animals had done what her killers had started. Tearing her apart and scattering her like refuse. Karen and Dana Obo were notified the next day. They couldn't be sure yet, but they were almost certain that they had found Holly. When dental records confirmed the identity, the sheriff of this town wept before calling the family. He said it was the toughest call that he had ever had to make in his life. Clint was completely shattered. He said nothing. Dana, her father, he passed out. And Karen, all those years that she had held out hope that Holly was going to be found alive, when they told her that it was her daughter, her only daughter, she fell to the floor screaming. Her sobs echoed through the walls of their once happy home. Her friend was there with her, and she said that Karen just screamed, "My baby." She died alone. There were no soft answers, no way to protect the family from the condition of the remains, no way to soften the blow. The skull had a bullet hole exactly where Jason Autry said that Zach Adams had shot her. She'd been left in the dirt like she didn't matter, but she did. And now the full weight of justice began to shift. The public, so long unsure, now turned fully against Zach Adams. I don't know if oh wow, really? Holly. That's who we're remembering here. I look at that guy with absolute disgust. Just absolutely horrible. She was such a beautiful young girl. Her whole life ahead of her. Zach was charged with first-degree unaliving, aggravated kidnapping, assault of the worst kind against a woman, and abuse of a corpse. Jason Autry, in exchange for testimony, avoided the death penalty. Two other men, Shane Austin and Dylan Adams, were soon implicated in it as well. Dylan, Zach's younger brother, had admitted on tape that he saw Holly tied up in a house, bleeding and crying before she was unalived. But things would only grow darker from this point, because as the trial approached, it became clear. This wasn't just an unaliving. It was a collaborative sadism, a premeditated and extended torment. He had planned this. And the more that the truth was exposed, the more Holly's name became a symbol of lost innocence and rural evil hiding in plain sight. Chapter 7, The Trial of the Century. The courtroom in Savannah, Tennessee was suffocating, both in heat and in heartbreak. By September 2017, more than 6 years had passed since Holly Bobo vanished into the trees that morning. Now, her alleged unaliver Zachary Adams sat at the defense table, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes emotionless, dead, and vacant. Across from him sat Karen Bobo, Holly's mother. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. She was clutching a framed photo of her daughter like a weapon of grief. The trial began with a statement that shook everyone. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case will show you that evil doesn't wear horns. It wears the face of someone that you passed at a gas station. Prosecutors wasted no time. Their story was blunt and unrelenting. On April the 13th, 2011, Zach Adams kidnapped Holly Bobo from her driveway. He pulled her through the woods and brought her to his house. He tied her up, assaulted her in the worst way that a woman can be assaulted, beat her, and eventually unalived her in the head while she begged and pleaded for her life. Jason Autry, the state star witness, took the stand, and his testimony chilled the room. He spoke in a flat, monotone voice with zero embellishment because the details were bad enough on their own. She was wrapped up in a blanket, he said, voice cracking. I saw her moving. She was still alive, and Zach told me to do it, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't unalive that girl. I didn't know her. I couldn't just do that, but Zach, man, he just walked over and he just did it like it was nothing for him. The room fell into silence. Even the judge looked shaken. Jason described in detail the way that Holly had begged, the fear in her eyes. He said he would forever be haunted by the way that her body jerked when she was unalived. He described the sound of her body being dumped into the underbrush like trash. And then the pink ribbon, the same one found years later, tangled in weeds. She had had that ribbon in her hair that morning. Prosecutors then brought in forensic experts. They detailed the bullet path through Holly's skull, the matching shell casings, the bloodstains found in the back of Zach's house. DNA confirmed 100% that it was hers. Then came Karen's moment. She took the stand with the strength of every mother who's had to bury a child. She was supposed to be a nurse, she whispered. All my baby girl wanted to do was help people. She never hurt anyone or anything. And to know that my baby girl died screaming is something I can never get out of my head. She broke down mid-testimony. The judge offered for her to pause and continue at a later date, but Karen stood up and shook her head. No, I want him to hear this. Zach sat motionless, unmoved. Dylan Adams, Zach's younger brother, testified too, though his statements were confused. His intellectual disabilities were evident. Still, he confirmed one thing. He had seen Holly tied up, and she was bleeding, and she had begged over and over to go home. When the defense finally stood to argue, they had little to offer. They questioned the credibility of Jason Autry. They leaned into the inconsistencies in the younger brother's testimonies. They tried to suggest that others could have possibly committed this crime. But it wasn't enough. Thank God. The jury deliberated just over 11 hours. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, Karen gasped. Clint began to cry for the first time in years. Dana Bobo closed his eyes and whispered, "Thank you, God." Zach Adams was sentenced to life in prison without parole plus 50 years. He showed no emotion, but justice had been served. Almost. Because two more men, Dylan Adams and Jason Autry, still awaited sentencing. And the question remained, why did they do it? The motive was still unclear. Was it drugs, power, or something darker? We'll dive into that next. Chapter 8, The Rot Beneath the Surface. There's a myth about small towns that everyone's friendly, that the streets are safe, that evil wears a warning sign. Nothing could be further from the truth. Decatur County proved otherwise. Because beneath the polite hellos and church picnics, a darker truth was pulsing in the veins of this rural Tennessee town. Meth, poverty, violence, and secrecy. And it was that breeding ground that Holly Bobo's life was taken. After Zach Adams' conviction, the question still clawed at everyone's mind. Why her? Why Holly? The prosecution never offered a clear motive. The case had been built on horror, not psychology. But those closest to the investigation, those who'd watched the Adams family for years, knew this was about domination. Zach Adams was a known meth cook. His house was a plot spot for addicts, dealers, and criminals. It wasn't just drugs, it was power, control, and chaos. He and his circle lived outside the law. And in their world, a girl like Holly, beautiful, innocent, successful, was prey. Rumors spread like rot through that town that Zach had seen Holly before, that he had put his mark on her, that he had followed her, that he wanted her, and when she didn't return his interest, decided to take what he felt entitled to. She represented everything that he wasn't, and he resented her for it. Witnesses told stories of Zach making comments at parties. I could have that Mouse girl if I wanted her. Girls like that, they think they're better than us. I'll show her. By the time that April the 13th, 2011 came, Zach was in a full spiral. He was high, paranoid, and angry. And he had a plan. Jason Autry later testified that the men had talked for weeks about getting a girl, that they needed someone to trade for drugs, that they talked about sex, control, and disposal like they were planning a hunting trip. And when they saw Holly alone that morning in their driveway, they acted. Zach dragged her into the woods and began 3 days of unspeakable cruelty. The drug culture had taken over the community that once pretended that nothing bad ever happened here was now being forced to face reality. The drug culture had taken over. Families were broken, violence was hidden, and people like Zach Adams had been allowed to fester because no one wanted to stir the pot. Holly Bobo stirred it by being kind, by dreaming big, by daring to live clean in a dirty town. And he hated her for it. She was unalived not just because of Zach Adams' rage, but because an entire system failed her, failed to intervene, failed to protect, and failed to see that monsters don't come from fairy tales. They come from houses just down the road. Chapter 9, The Brother in the Shadows. Dylan Adams was not like his brother. He didn't exude menace or confidence. He didn't run the drug trade or make threats at parties. He was quiet, withdrawn, diagnosed with significant intellectual disabilities, but behind that silence was a dark secret, one that he had carried for years. In the wake of Zach Adams' conviction, the focus then turned on Dylan. Prosecutors had his confession recorded on tape, and it was shaky, but it was damning. I saw Holly. She was tied up, crying. I'm pretty sure I saw her bleed, and I think he hit her then. The footage showed a man that was emotionally detached, but his words still landed like hammer blows. Dylan said that Zach brought Holly to the house. She was bound, scared, and pleading. Dylan didn't stop it. He didn't help her. He walked away. When questioned why, he mumbled, Zach told me to shut up and not say another word. So I did. You do what Zach tells you to do. But was he a participant or just another victim of his brother's terror? That was the question. Mental health experts testified that Dylan operated with the mental capacity of an 8-year-old boy. He was suggestible. He was easily intimidated, in many ways a follower incapable of truly understanding the horror unfolding before him. But prosecutors didn't care about his IQ. They cared about what he did. And what he didn't. He watched as Holly was assaulted by 3 different men. He saw her hands bound with rope. He overheard his brother and Jason whispering about where should they dump her. He helped to clean up her blood. and he never told a soul, not for years. His actions prolonged the family's agony. And when he finally did speak, the details were so fragmented that investigators had to cross-reference them with Jason Autry just to confirm what was real. In a quiet courtroom in early 2020, Dylan Adams pleaded guilty to felicitation of first-degree murder and especially aggravated kidnapping. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Karen Bobo did not attend the hearing. She didn't need to hear anymore. The truth about Dylan haunted her, in fact. He was barely a man. She thought that he was lost, hollow, and twisted by the same poison that took her daughter. But he had a choice, and he chose silence. That damage by then was irreversible. While Zach and Dylan sat behind bars, another name still lingered. Shane Austin. Another man who had been offered a plea deal and then died under very mysterious circumstances. As if Holly's case wasn't tragic enough, it was about to grow even darker still. Chapter 10, The Final Threads. The case was supposed to be over. Zach Adams was serving life behind bars. Dylan Adams was locked away for 35 plus years. Jason Autry had confessed, cutting a deal to avoid death row. But in early 2015, before the trials ever began, one man's name had surfaced again and again and again in hushed tones. Shane Austin. He wasn't just Zach Adams' friend. He was there. And according to witness statements, Shane had helped clean up the mess. That he had been in the car or maybe at the house when Holly was restrained. That he knew exactly where her body had been dumped. Incredibly, investigators had offered him immunity in exchange for full cooperation. But the deal fell apart. Authorities claimed that Shane was dishonest, that he withheld details, changed his story, and violated the terms of the agreement. So they revoked the deal and prepared to charge him with murder. Before they could, Shane was found dead in a Florida hotel room. He had unalived himself. He was hanging from a closet rod with a belt. He was 29. No note, no confession, just a gaping hole in the case. Karen Bobo never spoke Shane's name publicly, but privately she believed that he had answers that had passed along with him. Answers about how long that Holly had suffered, answers about who really had unalived her, and answers about why. Now those answers are gone forever. The grief didn't end with the trials, not for the Bobos, not for the community, not even for law enforcement. Sheriff Keith Byrd later admitted, "That case changed me. I don't see people the same anymore. I don't trust the same." To this day, a roadside cross marks the place where Holly's body was discovered. Locals leave flowers, Some leave handwritten notes. One simply reads, "You mattered and you still do." And Will Nunley, the reporter who covered the case for years, said it best. Holly Bobo became the face of every small town daughter. What happened to her didn't just break her family, it broke us. Her parents still live in Parsons, Tennessee. They celebrate her birthday every year with a cake. Her room is completely untouched, just like the day that she left it. And in the corner, still sitting atop her dresser, is her pink nursing cap, folded, untouched, and waiting. And the latest news on this is, and I was shocked when I heard it, Zach Adams is asking for a new trial now. He was sentenced to life without parole for Holly Bobo's murder, but wants a new trial after he said that Jason Autry lied and he had no part in it. So you can look that up. There is actually a true crime documentary about Holly Bobo called Law and Crime Mystery, Who Unalived Holly Bobo, and it is available on Apple TV Plus. The documentary explores her disappearance and her tragic passing. There's also a show called The Critical Witness on Apple TV Plus that delves into the case as well. Hello, Wild Wild Witch. How are you, darling? So, yeah, we will not be able to get to the Joseph Callinger case. That one was a toughie. That was a tough one too. So, what are your thoughts? Oh yeah. He doesn't deserve anything, but he thinks he does, and he's trying to outsmart and yeah, that one was tough, Julie. Oh, you like The Crown? Yes, this is one of my favorites for sure. Let me see if I can look that up again. So there's two. So the true crime documentary is called Law and Crime Mystery, Who Killed Holly Bobo. And then there is another one that explores her disappearance and tragic death, and that one is called The Critical Witness. The Critical Witness, and that one is on Apple Plus as well. Yes, please be careful, Tigger. Please, please, please. You know, I am one thing that, you know, doing true crime and serial unalivers and watching all the true crime I do, because I'm a true crime junkie. I'm a true crime. Oh my god, I just came up with a new word. I practice the 3 rules: be weird, be rude, and stay alive. I don't care if I am walking to the mailbox. I am so careful and watching behind me. I am not a trusting person. I do not trust anyone out there, especially after what happened to my sister. That really just raised my awareness, and I am on it. I am definitely on it for sure. Um, but be on guard. Always be on guard. Yes, Firefly. You know, and you know, I've learned so much. I've learned how to not turn my back in certain situations. Just to listen, you can never be too careful. You just can't. Oh yes, Total Woman 63. I can watch Forensic Files, um, Dateline 2020. Oh, what is the other one? Is it Dateline? Is that the one with Keith Morrison, who's got like quite possibly the creepiest voice in the world? Yes, it is. Yeah, so you know, definitely stay safe. Tomorrow night is Paranormal Wednesday. Who likes ghosts? Things that go a bump in the night. Hello, Spicy Joe. You can just never be too careful, ever. And I'm particular about friends, family. Thank you. That's lovely. Um, oh, wonderful. Court TV, Lulu, yes, I am like addicted to it. And one of my family members said, "That's so morbid." I'm like, I guess. Love Ghost. Again, if you have a particular story that you would like for me to cover, just let me know. This particular one, I had not heard of. Had you heard of this one? I had not. And one of my employees came up to me and said, "Hey, Bryn, have you covered the Holly Bobo case? And did you know that he is trying to get a new hearing?" And I was like, okay, number one, I don't know who Holly Bobo is. And I started searching. And then I was like, you know what? This is it. This is the one that I need to tell. It's just so sad. It's just so tragic. I had never heard of it either. Just thank you for the follow. Was it? Did he get it? I know. Trying to get a new hearing is just crazy. Yes, we have a very special community, very special tribe here. I just love the interaction that we all have with one another, even though I'm reading and I can't always glance at the comments like I would like to. I'm involved in telling you the most in-depth story, no matter what it is that I'm telling. I want you to leave with like a look of amazement on your face, like, wow, I didn't know that, you know? No answers yet on the outcome? Gotcha. Well, let's see. Can we get to 200K? Thank you so much for achieving the live goal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would have set another one if it was not as late and we could go ahead and roll over into the Joseph Callinger story. So also, while I have a good number here left, I want my subscribers to be treated as kings and queens. And I want you to have special privileges that no one else has. So Sunday night, I had fully planned on doing it, but for some reason, and I do not understand why, TikTok will not let you have a subscribers only live. You cannot play music, you cannot dance, you cannot do anything. And I wanted it to be set apart and to be special for you. But from what I understand, we can do a subscribers only chat. So even though I believe that everyone will be able to still come in and hear the story, you will still be able to chat with me and I will be able to chat with you. That's what I'm understanding. So we're going to give it a go again Sunday night. So thank you all so much for being patient. It is just crazy. I was talking to some other creators and they said it's like you're punished for wanting to do something nice for your subscribers, because you could subscribe to anyone that you want, and the fact that you want to subscribe to me is humbling. And so I want to only provide the best stories and the best experience for you when you're here with me. So we're going to go forward again Sunday night. Also, I couldn't remember, did I say that we were going to do a meet and greet? And when did I say that it was going to be done? I got to hire a secretary to start keeping all of this going. Oh, Tigger, thank you. I want to say that Hey, Angel. How are you, darling? Friday night before the live. Yes. So let's do it. I'm going to come on at 7 o'clock. And I'm going to spend a whole hour. And if you want to come into the live and you want to just hang out and chat before the live, because we'll still have the Wheel of Fate. And apparently the letters are still backwards. So I've got to figure that out too. But you can just come in and say hello. I appreciate that, Wild Wild Witch. Believe it or not, just being here is showing support. I don't think 30 minutes is enough. I don't think it's enough time, and it just takes away, 30 minutes is a rush. So I want you to come in and enjoy it yourself and just talk, just chat, just hang out. With that being said, we're at 310 subscribers on YouTube. In order to monetize on YouTube, which is where we all want to go and monetize so we can go worldwide, we need 1,000 subscribers. Right now we're at 310. We have grown a lot. So please just share it with anyone that you come in contact with. Hey, would you, I was talking to a group of people today and I'm like, follow me. It's an order. They just looked at me. So thank you, James. So just share it with everyone that you can think of. And I should have 4 new people on. I tried to give like my most serious expression, my boss expression. Do it. It's an order. That's it. One person at a time. I remember when I only had 2. I'm now 310. I think if we can hit that 500 mark, I think we'll be well on our way. I think our hours, our viewing hours on YouTube are going very quickly. Oh, I'm so glad that you like my style. Welcome. Um, so, you know, just do it. Just, follow. It's free. So, but I love you all. I'm so glad that you like it here. If you're brand new, let me know. And, we want to welcome you and make you feel welcome. This is a very warm, safe, loving life. No judgment here. We do not allow negativity of any kind, in any shape, form, or fashion. This is a place where you don't have to put your guard up. You can come in and hang out with everyone and just be scared. But no, truthfully, and we don't allow energy vampires, so you're safe. Yes, James, for sure. So, the night is closing in, and it's about time for sleep to begin. Let me know if you've enjoyed these stories tonight. Mhm. Hmm. Uh, yeah, so we will do that Friday night. And don't you all think that an hour is better than 30 minutes? Doesn't that seem better? I am not understanding where it is. Let's see. You are most welcome. You are most welcome. When whispers lace the midnight air, and unseen hands disturb your prayer. When footfalls groan beneath no feet, and secrets stir where shadows meet. When clocks tick back and candles die, and something ancient walks nearby. When sleep becomes a gilded tomb, and breath grows still inside your womb. When walls begin to softly weep, and dreams no longer dare to sleep. When all you love begins to flee, and only fear stays close to thee. That's when I come, so silently, to wrap you in eternity, and in the hush where hope won't be, in the darkest corridors